Good morning everyone, my name is Cyprian and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this really cute crochet headband in an adult size out of super bulky yarn. I'm going to list the materials below so you can have a look, gather them up, and we will get started. Okay, so I have my 10mm hook and my yarn and I'm ready to get started. So the first thing that we're going to be doing is doing our slip knot. You're just going to fold your yarn over, create an X, with your right hand reach through and grab that loose tail of yarn, hang on to both of them and pull the knot through. Insert your hook from back to front and pull that loop a little bit tighter, holding the loose tail. Not too tight because we want to be able to work the stitches. Okay, so the first thing we're going to be, or second thing we're going to be doing now is chaining 12 stitches. I want to mention I'm making the adult size and we're chaining 12. If you want to change the size of the headband so that it's not as deep, just reduce your multiple or your beginning chain by 2. If you want to make it thicker, increase it by 2. So whatever adjustments you want to make, you just want to make sure that you're keeping a multiple of 2 for your beginning chain. Okay? So we're just going to chain 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to fast forward this. You don't need to watch me chain. 12. Okay, now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be placing a double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. So of course we don't count the loop on the hook because that's just a loop, that's not a chain yet. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. This is my 4th chain, so we're just going to place a double crochet in there. Okay, and then we're going to chain 1. We're going to skip 1 chain and we're going to chain, or sorry, we're going to double crochet in the next chain. And we're going to follow that pattern across to the end. So chain 1, you're going to skip the chain below and place a double crochet in the next chain. Okay. Chain 1, skip the chain below that, and place a double crochet into the next chain. And all the directions will be on my blog for this pattern, so you can pull them up if you need to. Okay, and then we're going to work a double crochet into your last chain. And that will give us 9 stitches. So we'll go across and we'll count. So this was our first. Our skipped stitches count as your first stitch. So we're going to play 1, we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so that's 9 stitches. Now I'm going to quickly grab my stitch marker because we want to make sure that we're working in the first and last stitches all the time so that we keep the edge of our headband nice and straight, like this one. Sorry, it's so dark, so we'll put that aside, okay? Just 1 second. Okay, so I'm just going to slip these stitch markers in to the first chain. Okay, now for the rest of the rows, or sorry, for the next row, we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and we're going to turn. And what we're going to be doing is we're actually working below the chain 1 space into the beginning chain. So we are going to place a double crochet into that first chain 1 in our very beginning chain. Okay, so we're just going to place our double crochet right in there. And then what we're going to do, is put our stitch marker into that first stitch. Okay, and then we're going to chain 1 again. We're going to work into that empty chain below the chain 1 that you did here. And this is where it differs from the moss stitch, because the moss stitch we would actually be working in the chain space, but we're not working in the chain space, we're working below it. We're going to chain 1 and then work into that chain. Okay, chain 1, double crochet in that empty chain space there. And then what we're going to be doing is doing one more chain, and we're going to half double crochet into this last stitch where we placed our stitch marker. Okay, and of course we are going to count our stitches. So I'm going to actually take that stitch marker out now, and we're going to put it, oops, it's sort of catching there. We're going to put it into that last stitch so that we know exactly where to work when we turn our row. So let's count our stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Perfect. So we have 9 stitches, and you can actually see the texture already starting. I love this texture. I can't say how much I love it. Okay, so we will go on to row 3, and what we're going to do is we are going to chain 2 again. 1, 2, and then we are going to work a double crochet again into that stitch right there. Okay, and we will slide out our stitch marker and put it in that first stitch now. Okay, we're going to chain 1 and into the next stitch. And this is basically it now for the pattern. We're just going to keep repeating the chain 1 double crochet all the way across. And as long as you're using your stitch markers, you should have a nice even edge. And this headband is going to be one of the easiest, and I bet you one of your favorites to make because it works up so fast with this yarn. And of course, it looks beautiful in any yarn. And this is a really easy pattern to adjust. So you play around with it and see how you like it. Okay, so we'll just finish off this. So we're going to chain 1, and we're going to half double crochet in that last stitch there. I'm having a little bit of a problem with my stitch markers. Okay, so there it is there, and we're going to half double crochet. And you see the edges are nice and even. Okay. Chain 2 and turn and work in the double crochet below the chain 1 space. Okay, put your stitch marker in and continue all the way across. Now this is all you have to do for the rest of the pattern. As I mentioned, I'm making an adult size, so I'm going to crochet until my piece measures about 20 inches. I'm going to try it around my head and see what fits me best, but it's going to be between 19 and 20. So you just do the same. You just continue on just as I did here, and if you need to rewind to check the stitches done, go ahead and do that. Keep using your stitch markers. That's what's going to make your edge nice and straight. And I'll meet up with you when I finish crocheting the length of this, and we'll sew it together and just wrap the seam, and you're gonna have your headband made. Thanks. As I was working on my headband, it occurred to me that some people may want to just jump ahead and finish it off on their own. So just have a look at the pattern, and there's instructions under the finishing row, and it'll show you how to do your stitches so that you don't have, of course, this chain 1 space on your final row of your headband. Okay, for everyone else, I will meet up with you soon. Okay, so I finished crocheting the length of my headband, and mine's at 20 inches. So as you can see, we have holes here, and so we want to close those off in the last row of the headband. And how we do that is we're going to be working a single crochet into the chain 1 space, and then we're going to work a double crochet in the stitch below. So that single crochet that we're working in the chain 1 space is what's going to be closing that hole there, or filling it in really. So you're just going to work a single crochet, double crochet below. So you're working the single crochet in place of the chain 1. You're just going to do that all the way across, and you can see here how it's closing off really nicely. And then we're just going to finish off with the half double crochet in the last stitch. And then we're going to leave a long tail of yarn when we fasten off, and then just fasten that off there, because we want the tail of yarn to be able to sew the length of this. So I'm just gonna grab some scissors and a needle, and I'll meet back with you to sew that together. Okay, so I'm gonna be sewing this seam together. Now, there's really not a right side or a wrong side to this texture because we're working the exact same stitches in every row. So you can have a look and see if there's a side you prefer. But to me, there's really no difference. Okay, so I do not recommend using a slip stitch with your crochet hook to close this shut, because we're knotting it. Again, sorry, this is hard to see. You don't want this to be really bulky. You want it to be worked fairly flat. Okay, so I've just taken my beginning tail there and I'm just laying it across, because then that will get worked into my stitches. And I'm just going to work through here and around. Okay, and you can see how I've got that tail there, and I'm working my stitches underneath the tail, and that's kind of weaving it in all in one motion for me. Okay, so just keep your stitches lined up as you go across, and then that way you know that your headband is going to be lined up properly once you're finished sewing it together. So just go around, and you don't have to use this technique. This is just the one I suggest, so if you have another one, just go for it. But like I said, I do not recommend using a slip stitch to go across, because it'll just be too bulky when you're done. Okay, I'll fast forward through this and we'll meet up and I'll show you how to cinch the front of the headband together. Okay, so I finished sewing it, and you can see how it's laying nice and flat here. And I am just going to turn this around. And what I'm going to do, you see how clean that seam is? And it's nice and flat, is I'm just going to take my, my yarn and thread it through. And the reason I do this before I actually wrap it with the yarn is I want to see how the headband is going to gather. And I want to make sure that it looks nice before I wrap it around. So I'm just actually working between the stitches because I want the yarn to be able to move freely. Okay, and I'm just going to pull that closed, and then that gives me an idea of what it's going to look like. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so that looks nice to me. Oops. So I'm going to now, I'm squeezing it with my 2 fingers, and I'm just going to work a stitch back through and hold that in place. And then I'm going to start to wrap it. I may not have enough yarn left on my hook, or sorry, in my needle. So I might have to add on to that, but we'll see how we make out. Yeah, I think I'm definitely going to have to add more yarn on, but I'm going to just use what I have for now and hold this in place and get it started. So that's what we're at so far. And actually, I think I do like it. It's got a little less wrap than the black one, but we'll see. Okay, I'm going to tie it off. Let's keep a few here, and I can always add more. So, let's see. You know what? I like that. I'm going to leave it just like that. It's a little bit smaller than the black one I made. But I like the look of it. So that's it, you're done. And if you want to do more, then you can easily add more yarn around there, around that knot. Anyways, everyone, thank you so much for joining me. If you like this video, give it a nice thumbs up and consider subscribing, because I'm going to be releasing more videos like this. If you have any comments or questions about this video, maybe I could have done something better, or you wanted to see something done differently, make sure you comment below. These videos are for you, and I want to make sure that I'm giving you exactly what you're looking for. So that's everything for now, and until next time, bye-bye.